Yo, what's good on, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How you feeling, man? How you feeling?
I can't call it, man. I see you went and got your
Hey,
glow back, man.
hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Hey, man, my mama told me you gotta leave out the house and do something, man. You can't leave out the house looking crazy. And although I'm not out the house, my mama told me how to be presentable, man.
Hey, man.
gotta look my best, man. I gotta look my
Hey,
best.
hey, man. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad we take heed to our our parents when they do talk to us. Just goes to show mom and dads that we do listen. We may
That's
not
right.
listen when they want
Look
us to
behind
listen.
your ears and wear clean underwear before you leave out the house. That's what she told me.
Hey, well, listen, man. Man, how was your week, man?
Uh It was pretty good, man. I can't even complain, honestly, man. We had what 2 days? Had 2 days of work this week inside the building with the kids. Then we got that snow that came through here. That they gave us a snow day for that. Today I had some training. I hate training because I don't. My thing is that the school system say that all kids don't learn the same way. What makes them think that all adults can learn the same ways too? No, I don't learn that way. You can't stick me in a room full of people and a bunch of distractions and stuff going on and try to just give me a bunch of information. You're gonna lose me.
Mm-hmm.
That's just funny. But all in all, I'm grateful, man. I got a job. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful for the blessings that I have. So it's been a good week, man. I can't complain. How about yourself, brother?
Listen, man. I take it one day at a time, man. Just like you, man. I try to really I really don't try to complain or try to have any I don't try to give the world any reason to complain. I think my
Okay,
my
I like
my
that.
approach to things that are not comfortable for me is more so like asking God to help me grow within my uncomfortability. So whenever
Mm,
things come up, I always ask God, like, hey God, whatever it is you want me to learn from this situation, please don't let me miss it. Remember, I told you about that. One of my homeboys from back in the neighborhood back in the day told me about that. Like, hey man, God is always trying to show us something, and it is us for us to not miss it. So, I always ask God to help me not miss what it is that He's trying to teach me, so that way I can learn and grow from that.
there you go. There
Um,
you go.
but to be honest with you, man, it's always something that you got to learn throughout the week. But this week, what I learned was what we really about to have a conversation about. So before we even get into that, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Final Notice podcast. Man, TikTok is again jumping, man. If you are on TikTok right now, and if you are on this live, do me a favor. Search for Final Notice podcast on TikTok. Go follow that page because after a while, I would like to go live from the actual page. So please, if you can, go follow that Final Notice podcast on TikTok. We are on TikTok, but I have to go live from my personal page until I can build a little bit more of a base of followers before I can go live. But we are streaming live on Facebook. We are also streaming live on Instagram. We are streaming live on YouTube. And we are also now on TikTok. So I think we got everything covered. So if you're here, have a seat, grab a popcorn, get your pen and paper ready because this is a live interaction podcast. We talk about things that we have experienced and we try to use the biblical side of it to give us a foundation of our conversation. So it's not just a conversation where we just having just any old conversation. There is always a substance to why we have these episodes. So if you haven't been following us, please follow us on those platforms. But have a seat, tell a friend and tell a friend. We are here, we are live, and I would like to welcome you guys on behalf of myself, Kojo, as one of your hosts. I have my brother Aaron on the other side for those who are on TikTok. We want to welcome you guys to another wonderful episode of Final Notice Podcast. Aaron, what do you got for him, Aaron?
But I don't have anything for him, man. I mean, you called me this week.
Yeah,
Normally I call you. So when you called me, I was like, all right, what you got for me? And it
yeah.
was funny. Like I'm telling you, the things that you said in that conversation, it was eye-opening for me. You know what I'm saying? It made me reevaluate myself. It made me evaluate the people around me. It made me think about some things and we'll get into it, but I'm not gonna lie, man. You dropped something heavy on me. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, man. Do your thing, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody that's joining us today, how me and Aaron, we don't sit around and come up with a you know an outline of how we're going to have our podcast episodes. Me and Aaron typically will call each other during the week, hey, check in, hey bro, how it's going, what's going on, what you got going on, and God would orchestrate our conversation to where we talk about something and we feel like, hey, you know what? I think this might be a good conversation for us to put out on the platform. We talk about the things the churches are scared to talk to you guys about. I think that's kind of like how I feel when, at least from my perspective, when we have our conversations, our conversations are in depth to the point where we talk about things that some pastors may be scared to speak about in the churches, or some of us as believers are scared to even to talk about because we don't want to lose friends or relationships. But sometimes you have to be different in order for you to be accepted. And I think a lot of us don't really want to be different because we always want to be that perfect puzzle piece to the puzzle when really you may not be the correct fit for that particular spot for that puzzle. So we talk about those things because we don't have any we don't have any shades to what we talk about, and we try to be transparent as possible because being honest with people is the only way where you can reach and save people's lives, and also talk some sense into people that may be going through some times where they don't have any sense as to deal with what they're going through. So when I talk to Aaron or when Aaron called me, we have conversations about how can this be helpful within the kingdom of God? How can we help somebody else, like a brother or a sister like ourselves, who may be going through the same thing we're going through, but maybe just don't have the outlet or maybe have the presence to sit behind the camera or on the platform like the Finding Notice podcast to be able to give that out to people to maybe to even gain any information or anything like that. So that's why when me and Aaron talk, it's genuine. So this is a genuine interacting podcast. If you are on YouTube, follow us. If you're on Instagram, follow us. If you're on Facebook, follow us. If you have any, questions, you can always inbox us. You can message me here on TikTok directly too as well. But this is the reason why we have these conversations. And not to drag it out. Today's conversation is a personal, real personal conversation because it involved myself and somebody that I thought was my friend. So today's topic of our podcast is who is your friend? And I think a lot of us we have different definitions as to who we consider our friend, right? So I'm gonna ask you, Aaron, who do you think is your friend? Like, if somebody asks you, like, who's your friend? What would you say, like, that characteristics that make that person your friend?
And my response would be, I have very little friends, man.
Mm-hmm.
And not to get all super deep and biblical, but I honestly, truly think this way, right? Jesus had 120 disciples, something like that. He had 12 of them that we know about that was mentioned in the Bible, but only 3 of them went everywhere that he went. And I look at it like I'm no better than that, because if I'm not greater than the Father, I'm not greater than my big brother. I don't honestly think that I'm going to have more than that, So it ain't too many people I would consider a friend, but the people that I do have relationships with, like you, Keon, Terrence, I consider y'all brothers. I do have a home girl, but like again, she's like a sister. I would never even say she like a friend, but because I've known her for so long, I've known her since I was like 19. And she's seen me in my lowest moments. She would be what the world or something like that would consider a friend. But I think that's the only like female friend that I say that I have. But other than that, I consider people like family, people that I like love, people that I care about, people that's deeper than just that thing. So I don't know, man, maybe 2 or 3. I would say I have 2 or 3 friends. And there's like people that I work with, what I'm saying, people that I care about, because they're the only other type of relationships that I have. Maybe some. Well, now I'm thinking about it. No, I'm wrong. I'll take that back. Because I'm thinking about it now. Because when you first asked me this question, I was only thinking about where I be, like where I am. Like I'm at work and I'm at home. I'm nowhere else. Somewhere else, you might catch me at the store or something like that, but I'm nowhere else. The people like Keon, we don't see each other often, but even when we don't even communicate often, but when we communicate, it's as if we never stopped talking since the day we met at Coppin, right? And that made me start thinking about the people I used to go to church with. I have some friends from church when I used to be in church. I have several friends there, but outside of that, that's it. But again, a lot of them I even consider my family. So maybe that's what it is. A lot of the people, like, let's take for instance, right? You look at like Greg, my man, Big Goof. That guy, and there's no disrespect. That's his name, and I'm not trying to clown him, but I tell everybody my stepfather, they got the same name. So that's why I call them that, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want to like throw that off or whatever, anything like that. So all of those people I went to school with, Stanley, Elijah, I consider them like friends, but it was also like brothers too, And like you got like those distant cousins you don't really see, but you still consider them like family, like you don't really have that type, because if I don't know how they feel about me. And that's one thing that I had to be comfortable with. That's one thing I had to learn. And I accept the fact that most people that I care about, most people that I love, I know for a fact they don't always feel the same way about me. And that's something that I had to realize. Like, it is nothing about them, because my thing is I'm going to be unapologetically me. I unapologetically love people. I feel like, once I'm cool with somebody, I'm cool with you until you give me a reason not to be. And then the moment you give me a reason to make me look at you with the side eye and look at you different, then I'm gonna withdraw myself. But if we already established that bond in that relationship, that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not. I used to see the people on Facebook and social media and stuff like that. I'm looking out for me, and it's weird because I used to think that it always came from like this selfish kind of like hurt place. But as I've gotten older, I have a different perspective on it, and I understand it. And it's not always that way, but you do have to, as Marshawn was said in a way, you gotta protect your chickens. You gotta protect yourself, bro. You gotta protect yourself. You gotta make sure that you are good. Your fan base is number one. You know what I'm saying? Like, yourself is number one, your family. But outside of that, man, I cannot help but love. I remember one time I had a pastor told me, she was like, I don't even understand why you care so much. And then I looked at her and I was like, I don't know why you don't care enough. But then I realized, like, everybody is different. Everybody carry their hurt different. Everybody like protect themselves different. If I interact with you, more than likely I have a strong affiliation, a strong affinity for you. I like you, I love you. Until you try to hurt myself or my family or something like that, then it's just, once you try to put me in physical harm, put my family in physical harm, it's a wrap. But outside of that, no, I'll just deal with you with what they say, long handle spoon, bro. Long answer. That's just how my point of view.
Nah, that's cool, because I think a lot of us in today's society, we don't even know who our friends really are. You know what I'm saying? We say they are friends, but I don't think we really understand what defines really a true friendship, right? Because I think there's so many varieties of friends, but then you can have a group of people that, they're all friends, right? It's about 50 of them.
Right.
Out of that 50, you might only get maybe like 2 or 3 that's really strong in bond, that separates themselves from the 47 or the 48, right? Out of the 50. But I think a lot of us as believers, we don't know the difference between our worldly friends and also our heavenly friends. And I think the reason why this conversation came up was I was talking to you like I always do, and I gave you a personal experience what happened. So to catch everybody up without having to go through a long conversation, I had a friend that a lot of people that went to high school know, right? So if anybody's watching,
before you get your story, can I say this real quick? I'm sorry. Before you get your story, when you just said that, you're absolutely right, and I think, like, especially with the brainwashing of social media, as well as video games, kind of make it blur the lines. Because even when you get on Facebook, they actually want to like be friends with people. You know what I'm saying? And it subconsciously, I feel like it brainwashes people to make you think that they friend. Like, even on Xbox, I remember having a conversation with my son when he's accepting these friends, and I'm just like, well, they can't be your friends, man, because they talking reckless, especially they little kids, And I don't know where these little kids get this stuff from, when they just start talking real disrespectful and stuff like that on Xbox and different things like that. And I say, I know that thing say friend, but they're not your friend. That's not what a friend do. And it's like you said, if you think about the things that we grew up understanding what a friend is, and even how that line got blurred as we got older, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I had friends, like real friends when I was in high school, like Ronald Huff, Gary Barclay, I'm saying their name, Steven. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm thinking of that. Alex, what's his man? Elton. Like, we sit around in school and we cracked on each other's moms, bro. But the what made it funny was we never like talked bad about them. We were saying outlandish things that we all knew wasn't true. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were saying stuff like, yeah, I was eating dinner with your mom last night. Like, dog, come on, we know you wasn't doing that last night. But it never crossed the line of disrespect. It never crossed the line of like crazy things where as though like somebody's trying to fight you. And it was all for fun and jokes that we already knew. God forbid we even found out what their names was. And it was all fun. But it's like it's a certain time in life where that line got really blurred and people became really disrespectful. And you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I look at these younger people and these younger generations. And you know, back in the day, you know, somebody come in the neighborhood, we all had to squabble up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all had to squabble. But then you look at it now, and the thing that concerns me is like you see these people fighting the first day, you know, right before this now. But you know, it's World Star, everybody screaming at, pulling up their phone, everybody saying all of these different things. And it's like, yo, how's that your friend? They sitting there watching you get jumped and they laughing at you. How was that a friend? How's that a friend when they sending you on dummy missions? You know, but yeah, go ahead, man. But those are the things that I understand.
Like, and for those who are tuning in, you know, welcome to Final Notice Podcast. If you are on, you know, TikTok, you know, thank you so much for joining in. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to any of our pages, please do so. Final Notice Podcast on all platforms. Yeah. So to be honest with you, something you asked me about my week. Right? Something happened this week, and it's something that has happened before. But like I said, when things happen, I don't really consider it as a bad thing. I always ask myself, God, what it is that I'm supposed to learn through this situation, because there is a hidden message or something that I'm supposed to learn and grow from this particular situation. So what is it? So as I was saying, I had a particular so-called friend. At least at that time, I consider him more than a friend, like a brother.
Right.
We all have a past before we found grace, right? So you know, again, with this podcast, we talk about, you know, our personal lives, where we came from and where we at now. I'm not one of those people that you can't use my past against me. If anything, if you use my past, it encourages me to do better more now. But you know, I had this particular friend of mine at that time where we did a lot of dirt on the streets. You know, we did a lot of dirt on the streets. We did, you know, we made moves on the streets, and it was through making moves and living reckless like this is how I found God. And I remember 2014, I had got in trouble and I got locked up. So in the midst of me getting locked up, you know, I called this particular friend and I said, yo, you know, I'm in the jam, this and this and that. You know, I went on this mission and boom, I get caught up. So now when I get caught up, you know, fast forward, you know, go through the whole legal system, you know, do what I have to deal with, you know, it was there where I made my mind to say, you know what, God, I need better friends around me. I need you to clear people around me. But I was telling you earlier, when you're a believer and when you ask God for certain things, be careful what you ask for, because he might even remove your mother if she is the problem. So you got to be very, very careful as a believer what you ask God for, because what you ask God for in that divine moment, he's going to give you a divine answer. So I asked God to remove the people around me that I thought they were my friends. So it didn't happen right away. So when I called this particular friend, I was like, yo, I got in trouble, la, la, la. He's like, yeah, I heard. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. He said, I went by your house. So I'm like, well, if you heard I'm locked up and if you know I'm in trouble, why are you going by my house if you know I'm not there? So make long story short, eventually he ended up running over into my house and taking whatever he can take because I'm in trouble. I'm locked up now, right? So I come home and now I've already made a promise to God that, hey, God, I got to live righteously. I got to push people outside. I got to stay away. I got to move away from people that I call friends. So the topic of the question, the podcast is, who is your friend? I didn't know who my friends were. I knew I hung around a bunch of people, but now I need to know if they're my friends or not, right? So I asked God to start removing these people away from me. It didn't happen instantly like that. But as I got home and I started to get my life together and I started maturing and moving on with my life, I got a phone call from the same so-called friend that I hadn't seen in like almost a year and a half.
Hold up. I want to slow you down and the reason why I want to do that is because I think you're leaving out some of the real powerful parts of the story that you told me. Okay. Now, this same friend that you was telling me about, the parts that really made my heart like just drop a few times when you was telling me. Because you told me this is the same friend that if you thought that if you got into a fight when you was younger. Yes. So go ahead and get into that part of it. I think there's several parts that I want you to get into because this is really powerful. The power is really in the testimony of the whole thing. And I know you're trying to give like an abbreviated version of it, but I wanted you to get into that part. And I also wanted you to get into the part when you said you called your mom that when you had that funny feeling.
Yeah. So going back to describe, yeah, you're right. Let me describe my relationship with this particular friend. So, right on the streets, in high school, in the neighborhoods, anywhere we went to, if you had a problem with me, you had a problem with him. If you had a problem with me, 99% of the time, he would get to you before I can get to you. If you had a problem with him and I heard about it, I would get to you before he can get to you. So this is how this is the type of relationship and friendship him and I have. He will go over to my mom's house, eat at my mom's house. I will go over to him and his auntie's house, sit there, eat. So it's not like just a regular old somebody from the neighborhood or somebody that I went to school with. We have a relationship. We have like a brother relationship. Like, yo, this is my shadow. I remember one time in high school, I had got in a fight. And the kid, well, matter of fact, the fight started in middle school. We get to high school. I didn't know the kid that I fought in middle school had came to high school with us. Mm-hmm. I'm going to the cafeteria. I'm like, I see all these commotions. I'm like, yo, what's going on? I see my man coming out. I said, yo, what happened? He said, remember that dude Todd that you had beef with him in middle school? I said, yeah, what happened? He said, man, I just knocked him out for you. I'm like, dang. How you get to him before me? I'm going over there to go see what's up. He'd already done took care of, bro. So this is the type of relationship and the friendship I had. So you can understand why I said it was a hurtful thing to ask God for clarity and to find out, who really are my friends. It's not something that you just ask and you just see it and it's just like, oh, okay, whatever. This is God exposing people that I thought was my friend, even through the tough relationships that him and I have had and experiences we have had, right? So,
hold up. Go ahead.
Who's this? So anyway, so it's like.
So then now I want you to say, so what happened? And Troy Bryan said Webster need to change the definition of friendship.
They sure do.
A friend, yes, they do. He said, but what happened in that relationship? What was the beginning of the fallout when you noticed the beginning of the fallout?
So, okay, so my boy, he came home. He came home by like 2009, 2010. He came home. He was like, yo, hey, man, like, I'm trying to get back on. What's up? Anything? I'm like, yo, I don't know too much about nothing right now. I'll let you know, but I think my cousin might know a little something. So I'll put you on with my cousin, see maybe he can work with you on that, right? So
that's the abbreviated version.
That's the abbreviated version because I don't want to put too much.
Yeah, don't put too much out there. But I'm just saying. So I was saying. So all right. So I'll try to do it for you, right? So you said you basically cut into unwillingly and unknowingly.
I haven't gotten there yet. Let me get there.
All right. Just want you to make sure you redact some of it, man.
I'm gonna get there. I'm not gonna leave that part.
We don't know about statutes and limitations. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna leave that part out. So. We're full transparent. Welcome to Finding Orders podcast, man. We're going to give you everything raw and uncut. So he come home, I hook him up with my cousin, right? After I hook him up with my cousin, a couple of years go by. So when a couple of years go by, right? Now I get into a situation where I work where I got in an accident with one of the company's trucks. So at this time, 2012, he comes from 2010. 2012, my son is being born, right?
Mhm.
So I move into Greenbelt, Maryland, and now I'm trying to get my life together, make sure my son is straight. I'm still working. I'm not doing no moves on the street. I'm actually living a righteous life. I'm actually working 9 to 5. So when I get into the accident, my company is trying to take the money out of my paycheck because I caused the accident. So I asked my company if I'm able to settle it with the person I got in the accident with, would they still be okay with that? They said yes. So I contacted the person I hit and I said, yo, how much is it going to cost me to fix your car without having to go through the insurance? They tell me about $1,800 to $2,000. I said, cool. Even though I didn't have it at that time, I reached out to my cousin. So when I reached out to my cousin, I said, yo, bro, I have about $1,000. I need another $1,000 for me to be able to pay for this car accident that I'm in, or they're going to take the money out of my account. So he said, cool, I'll send you the money. I'm going to send one of your homeboys at you. Mind you, when my homeboy come home in 2010, I didn't hang with him from 2010 to 2012. So I didn't even know that he has been having these street relationships with my cousin. So when my cousin sends him to me, I'm like, yo, how did you know? You've been hooking up, you've been working with my cousin making moves. He was like, yeah. He gives me $1,000, right? Then he gives me $3 more $1,000. So I'm like, yo, what is this extra $3,000 for? He was like, because you hooked me up with your cousin. Remember when I came home in 2010 and I was asking for if you knew anybody can put me on? When you put me on with your cousin, he put me on. So now this is me saying thank you. Remember, the relationship I had with him is like a brother relationship, right? So he gives me that, and then he tells me like, yo, call your cousin, let him know that I dropped the money off. So I called my cousin, and my cousin was like, yo, ride with him for another 30 minutes. Ask your wife to see if it's okay. So that way, you know what I'm saying, you can see what's going on. So I ride with him. Within 30 minutes, I know we up by like at least $10,000, right? Now, this is where him and our relationship became very strange because my cousin told him, hey, whatever you got, give him half. So that 10,000, give me 5,000 for him, and then give me half of that, the other 5,000 that you got. So he like, well, why am I giving you the extra, the half of that? He said, give it to me. So he was like, why am I giving it to him? He said, because I want you to give him that other half. So now I went from asking for 1,000 to about $6,000, almost $7,000 in less than an hour. So when he seen that, he was like, hold on. Yeah, he my man. Yeah, he my friend. He brought me in, but he put me on. But now he's like, he cutting into my money. So now my cousin showed me how to do everything. So I'm like, oh, nah. I tell my girls, like, hey, I'm done working. I'm about to be on the streets today. 30 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm up 10,000. Oh, nah, I'm done. So right. I go on a run from I want to say from October, November to May of 2014, right? We go on a crazy run. If you know, if you in the know, you know, right? Again, I'm not giving you this story to glorify the lifestyle that I used to live, but I'm trying to get you to understand where God has brought me from to where I'm at right now, so that way you can understand what it is when we talk about how we change and how God is different when you get to know him, right?
Right.
So we started making money on the streets together, right? So now fast forward to 2014, maybe $250,000 to maybe $500,000 in that short bit of time, right? So now, of course, if I got $500,000 and he was supposed to get $500,000, now his $500,000 is going to cut to $250,000 because he had to give him half of his. Because I took half of his money, right?
Right.
So that's when the relationship is like, yo.
Right, because you said you got a phone call.
Yep.
And he just asked you randomly out of the blue, hey, how much money we made?
So we about to get to that. So right, 2014, I get in trouble. Now you guys should be all caught up. Everybody should be caught up now. So 2014, I get in trouble. I come home in 2014. I ain't talked to nobody because now I done found God, and I said, God, show me who my friends are. I need you to clear the people around me so that way I can be a better servant, but know the people that really are for me. So he calls me a year later, and I'm getting ready to go to my second job, right? My overnight job. I sit in the parking lot, I'm getting ready to start my car up, and I get a phone call from this so-called friend. Out of nowhere, I haven't spoken to him in a year, probably like a year and a half. He calls me, he said, hey, I got a question for you. I said, what's up? He said, how much money did we make on the streets? And I'm like, what? He said, how much money did we make on the streets? I said, bro, why are you asking me that? I haven't thought about the streets since I came home. I've left, even moved out the area. I'm trying to focus on taking care of my kids and my girl. Where we going with this conversation? So he goes, well, you cost me a lot of money on the streets. How much money did we make on the streets? I said, I don't know, 500,000, 300 to maybe 500,000. But what is the point? So this is what he says. He says, you cost me a lot of money on these streets, man. And I got my other man on the phone. So I'm like, yo, what's good? And for anybody that really knows me, that knows who I'm talking about, without even calling his name, everybody know he be on the streets. He with the hitters. He with those people that they get work. You know what I'm saying? So he says, do you know how many times I drove past your house every night? I said, excuse me? He said, do you know how many times I drove past your house every night? I said, yeah. I said, yo, you sure you're supposed to be telling me this? He said, yeah. He said, the reason why we never came, your son. Man, let me tell you something. Sometimes when you ask God for something as a believer, you have to be careful and be prepared for that divine response. Because if you're not fundamentally sound in your belief in God, some of the things that he will show you will cripple you. Some of the things that you will find will cripple you. Some of the things that you know from your own brother, from your own sister will damage you. So when he said that, I said, my God. So all this time I would drop you off and you would drop me off.
Your mic went out. Your mic went out. Go ahead, say that again. It's back.
I said, all those times that you dropped me off at home, all those times that, I dropped you off and you came over the house and you said you was leaving, you really didn't leave. You just sat in the parking lot contemplating on how you can come and kill me. So I said, where you going with this conversation? He said, yeah, because, I be with the hitters on the street. And, you cost me a lot of money, bro. And I could have came into your house and I could have killed you. But your son, I wasn't going to do nothing to your son. Your son would have been good. And I sat there on that phone and I started to cry. And I cried because he wasn't just a regular friend. He was like my right-hand man. He ate out of my house. I ate out of his parents' house. He know my family. I know his family. We'd have been shot at together. This is not just a regular person. This is somebody that I've been in serious situations with. But this is the same person that is telling me this, right? So I sat on the phone, bro, and I cried. And then I got off the phone with him. And I just sat there and I said, God, thank you so much. Now, my mind said now I got to kill him before he can kill me. So I said a prayer and I said, God, before he can get to me, put me in a situation where I can find him first. Again, if you ask God for something, you got to be very careful what you ask for because he will give it to you. So maybe 2-3 days later, I go to the barbershop to go get a haircut. I pull up in the parking lot. Guess who I see? The so-called homeboy that wanted to take me out back in 2014-15. I see him right there. Perfect opportunity. No cops in the area. Nobody to save him. Just him and myself and one of our homegirls standing right in front of me, right in front of the barbershop door. And I get out the car and I walked over to the girl KE and I said, yo, what up? Dapped her up. And then I seen him and I just looked at him. Now, all the emotions that I had in my body came rushing at one time like, take him out. But my spirit wouldn't let me do that. Because my spirit was showing me that what I thought was my friend, who I thought was my brother, who I thought was somebody that I can trust, he really wasn't my brother. But that doesn't necessarily mean that God doesn't have control of my situation. He allowed me to be in the presence of my so-called enemy to show me that no matter how big or how small or how dangerous they are, as long as I stay underneath his covering. Psalm 91 verse 1 and 2 said, "For I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge, my fortress, my God, in him will I trust." As long as I stay under his fortress, nothing can harm me.
Right.
So therefore, at that time, I seen him right there and I said, man, I got to be careful what I ask God for because he just might give it to me. But this is when I started realizing that, man, these people that I used to be around, they ain't really my friends. So throughout the years, fast forwarding, right, I've been getting friend requests left and right from this so-called friend. This week, I got 2 of them. And I asked myself, I said, well, if you wanted to kill me and you told me you wanted to kill me, why didn't continue to send me friend requests? God, why does it keep doing this? I have blocked him on Facebook. I have blocked him on Instagram. I have blocked him on TikTok, but he's always found a way to follow me on some type of social media platform. And I said, what is it that I'm trying to learn from this situation? So then I called you and we started to talk, right? And then the first thing that came to my mind was 1 Samuel chapter 18, right? And for those who are following, right, 1 Samuel chapter 18, King David, anybody that know King David, right? King David was the one who defeated Goliath.
You want this on here now? You wanted that on there now?
Yes. And it came to pass, well, we're reading from the book of 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 6, right? And it came to pass when David had returned from slaughter all the Philistines, the women came to the gate and they were praising David and saying that Saul had killed his 1,000, but David has killed his 10,000. So at that point, right? At that point, the king became jealous. King Saul became jealous of David before he was a king, right? And I was trying to figure out in the Bible what is something in the Bible that describes a true friendship. And that true friendship that I got from the Bible was Jonathan and David. Jonathan is the son of King Saul, and him and David became very close friends, right? But then when you read the scripture, it says that Jonathan became so close to David that he loved David as he loved himself, right? So when Jonathan found out that, if you go to Samuel chapter 1, 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 1, it says, and I'm abbreviating this conversation for time's sake, right? It said that when King Saul said to himself that he was going to kill David, this is how Jonathan showed his true friendship, his heavenly friendship with David, right? Jonathan, who is the son of King Saul, and went to David after he heard that King Saul had spoke to him, who is his son, and all his servants, saying that they should go and kill David, right? But Jonathan loved David so much that he betrayed his own father. He demonstrated what a true friendship is by betraying his own father, who is his flesh and blood, let alone the king of Israel at that time, right? So he went and told David and said, hey, my friend, my dad is trying to kill you. And when I looked at that, I said, man, that's the definition for me as a true friendship, not just a worldly friendship, but a heavenly friendship. And I think a lot of us as believers, we get stuck on this worldly friendship where because I drink beers with you, because I smoke weed with you, because me and you can do things on the streets together, we friends. But then you got to ask yourself, in the spiritual realm, in your heavenly realm, are they truly your friends? So that's when I called you and I said, hey, have you ever thought about that? Do we even talk about that as believers? Because we might even go to the same church together. We might even work together and we pray for promotions. When you went for that promotion and you didn't get that promotion, who do you think was the reason why you didn't get that promotion? You got to ask yourself these questions. Like when you get in there and you sit there and you said, I know I'm qualified for this job. You confide in your friends, say, hey, they got a new position available. I'm about to go and apply for it. You know you qualified for it, right? But when you went into that interview room, did you ever ask yourself, why didn't I get that job?
Right.
Because that person that you call your so-called friend at your work, they probably went over there and said something for them not even to hire you. You know why?
That's right.
Because if they can't get it, why should I allow you to get it? How can you consider them your friend? And I think a lot of us, we don't even ask these questions like, yo, how do you benefit me in my life? There's nothing wrong with you asking that. Because in order for you to have a friend, that friend has to serve a purpose. But that purpose got to be more than just a worldly purpose. Can you help me work on my soul? Can you help me get to that next level? You know what I'm saying? Can you help me be a better person? Can you help me be a better husband for my wife? Because you got some friends right now who will encourage you to cheat on your wife. But they're your friend. How are they helping your marriage?
You know, the first thing I thought about after you told me that story, I thought about when we was rapping them songs in college, man.
those classics.
I ain't even gonna say what it's about because I ain't really too ashamed of them. It was good times, but I ain't really too ashamed of it for real. But what I would say is one of the verses I dropped in one of the songs, I said, from Milwaukee to the Eastern Shore. And in that, I was taking jabs at two people in that song. And I did that all because Big Goof asked me to. Yep.
This is what I mean.
But see, when you look back at it, I don't know why he told me or asked me. I never hung around him. I never said anything about him, any of that stuff. I don't know him. But he just asked me because that's my man. I'm like, I thought this is what we supposed to be doing, right? You know, the bros over, whatever. You know how the statement goes. I'm like, hey, we the bros. But in me doing that, that same verse almost got me kicked out of school, bro.
Really?
Yeah, man. We had to sit down and write an apology letter and do all that stuff to that. You know what I'm saying? Because we wrote that, because we made that song. And I put myself in the crosshairs. I almost got kicked out of school because I wrote that song, because I wrote them verses and stuff like that. Had I not said them two people, the thing that I was talking about had nothing to talk about nobody in there. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, that's crazy. But then I started realizing, like, you know, there was an incident that happened up there before. I had called my peoples up there. We kind of got to this big old thing. And then it was kind of like, I don't know if at that moment he looked at me and say, dang, you know, he really got people that can come over there. But then I started realizing there was a lot of times that he would get into a lot of
situations. Yeah.
And then he would always come and talk to me and say something to me. And, you know, I was wrong back then. Plus, I was full of anger back then, too. It was just a hot head ready to go. You know what I'm saying? But then I had to sit back and think about it and say, you know what? That's my man. But I got to chill and create some distance, because I realized that when this stuff keep happening, like, yo, you creating these situations. You causing these problems. And because I know people who go on, they was on a crash out mission for me. My brothers didn't play about me. I made a phone call and they was up there in like 15 minutes and they lived across town. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, one thing I always thought about, even when I was younger, right? The people that I love and I care about, my mother used to tell me the decisions that I make never just affect you. They affect other people. So what I started thinking, I was like, especially after that moment, I was like, why in the world would I call my brothers to come up here and handle the situation and these dudes can get locked up? I'm not going to call my brother up here to try to get them to and put them, because they came up there with guns. Well, not my other brother. He came up there with his homeboys, but my oldest brother, like, he didn't play. Like, he came up there with a bunch of dudes that's probably like 6'3", 300 some odd pounds. I knew some of them had guns on them and all this other stuff. And I'm just up there like, why would? And that's the reason why I never called him. But my other brother called him and got them up there. And from that moment on, I was just like, nah, I have to be more careful about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, because I don't want to put the people that I care about in harm's way. And that's another part of friendship that I think most people don't understand. It's like, you can't be so selfish and so stuck on yourself and different things like that, that you are willing to send people that you love and say you care about and they're supposed to be your friends in harm's way. That's another thing about friendship. But that's also the reason why I don't really like interact socially with a lot of people either. And that's the reason why I don't put myself in those predicaments.
And you know, the thing that really gets me about, I told you about this, right? I told you, I said, Aaron, I have gotten to the point in my life where I know how to make myself available and unavailable at the same time. It was something that I had to actually learn to master that, because it's hard when you care for people and it's like you want to help out and be there for everybody, but then they play with you like they don't appreciate you, right? And that's kind
Yeah.
of like one of the worst things or worst feelings you can have as an individual when you know you're going out for somebody, doing right by them, but then they don't appreciate you. So it's like who want to keep having that feeling, right? But you know, a lot of us, as I said it before, we don't do background checks on our friendships. You get what I'm saying? Because we become so dependent on that person that give us an ear. And I'm telling you, a lot of your business that get out is not because you put it out there. A lot of your personal issues about your relationships, it ain't because you personally put it out there. It's because your friend that you so-called friends with, they're telling everybody it's a phone call. You call them, they talk to you, they call somebody else and talk to them.
Right.
And then it goes in circles, right? But then you gotta ask yourself, you know, what beneficial role do you play in my life?
So you got to ask yourself. So I had this conversation with someone, right? And although their premise about me was off, right, I understood what they were saying, because one of the conversations I was having was about like my father, my family, and different things like that, and how, you know, like who in their right mind wouldn't want their father in their life? You know what I'm saying? That's just me. You know, I grew up, and I say I had two of them, but none of them really, I would say, really raised me. I feel like they gave me advice here and there and helped me throughout my life. But to say like how you feel about a son, I wouldn't necessarily say I felt like I was raised by them. The closest thing that I felt like I was raised by a father, and the closest thing I would say that resembled a father was a dude that taught me carpentry, right? And what he did was he would just always put me in these scenarios. He was always making me think. He was always making me do stuff to build me. Now, my stepfather gave me some great advice. He said some different things and stuff like that. But, you know, it wasn't really like that closeness. When I was younger, we was really close. Now, I don't really know what happened. I want to say after maybe 5 or 6, but we wasn't as close as we were when we was younger. Like at the earlier stages when he got married to my mom, me and him was like really, really close. And I don't really know what happened from that moment on. Whereas though we're just like me and him wasn't that cool because we was riding around everywhere. But it wasn't like the fatherly advice, the pouring in, the loving on, the building up. And you know, and what I was saying is like I don't fault them either. I don't fault either one of them because I really don't. I want to say that my birth father, his father passed away you know, because I don't remember him at all. So I don't really remember when he passed away. But I don't know what effect that he had in my father's life, right? And the same goes for my stepfather. So I'm not really sure if they even knew how to be fathers, which as you get older, you start thinking about those kind of things and you don't hold that stuff against them, right? But it's those moments and those things like that where you sit back and be like, well, who is going to teach you these things and how you're going to build? I wanted that relationship. But what it is, what she was saying was, you got to stop looking for people to fill a void in your life. Now, I wasn't looking for them to fill a void in my life. But like I said, the premise was off from what she said about me. But what she was saying is that most people, when it comes to friendships, most people gravitate to other people. And what I call it, and from, I guess, studies would say, it's called trauma bonding. A lot of people trauma bond. Like, you ever meet, like, I'm trying to see, you got redact some stuff in there. But I know somebody right now that they never healed from some of their trauma when they grew up. You go from one relationship to the next relationship, to the next relationship, from the next relationship, and then you just leave a trail of destruction behind because you think these people is your friends. You want to get in relationship with these people, but at the same time, you never heal. You are bonding with other people's trauma. And then when you or that person start finding some kind of healing like you did with your homeboy, you had enough of that. You started healing from that. Because think about it. If you went back to the streets and y'all started making money, you was like, I'm going to do right by you. You know what I'm saying? I messed up, this, that, and the other. Let me help you get this money. Then y'all still be in the same crabs in the barrel, and y'all still will be cool, and you never would have elevated. But some people just hold on to those things because now it's like, well, you looking for something to fill a void inside of you. And I think that's why some people hold on to those relationships.
So let me ask you something, right? And if anybody else is watching, man, welcome to Final Notice Podcast, man. Tune in, chime in. We do respond. It's interactive. Thank you for all those who are tuning in on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, man. TikTok,
Hey,
you guys
Toya.
are TikTok. You guys are definitely TikToking out here today. But let me ask you something, bro.
Hold on 1 second. Hey, Toya, thank you. And I'm not going to wear them glasses that I wore that one time, Amoni. It was, I got my contacts in.
And put them glasses on, baby.
We did that one pod because I took my contacts out and we wasn't even really supposed to pod, but it was late at night. I was about to go to bed.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now, those Ray-Bans, that'll be the high-tech dress. Man, I looked them up already. They're about like $300-$400. I already put mine on Afterpay, man.
There you go. Hey, man,
I'm gonna get mine. But now, all jokes aside, though, like, you know, I think the misconception of us, you know, finding those friendships or, you know, calling people our friends, I think we use that word friends or friendship loosely because
very loosely.
Yeah, we use it very loosely because a lot of us, to me, if I'm gonna tell you my friend, right? I'm gonna give you an example without calling her name out because she is somebody I know very closely, right? It was a girl that I know, right? And she hung with a bunch of other girls, you know, a lot of girls. Some was pretty, some was ugly, some was skinny, some was big, all different types of girl. She is very, very beautiful, and she was probably the prettiest one out of all her friends, right? So every time a man will come near her to marry her, the man run away. The man will come ask about it, and the man will go away. So the girl had a mother that's been praying and praying and praying that why is it this pretty girl of mine can't find a man to marry, right? So she went to church one day, and through the midst of them praying and fasting and everything, the pastor said, "Hey, there's a young woman in here that is looking to get married, and your mom has been praying for you. You know, I have a message for you." And they called that particular girl out and said, "She's in here right now. I need you to come up to the front." So she came up to the front, and they called their mom up to the front. Right. So when the pastor said, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with you. It's not your looks. It's not your essence. It's not your personality. It's not your smile. It's not your physical attraction. It's one thing that is stopping you from getting married." You know what the one thing was?
What's that?
The group of friends that you hang with.
Oh my God.
So the pastor told her, said, "Hey, remove yourself from that group." Less than 30 days, less than 60 days, the girl was engaged already.
Wow.
So sometimes it's not about, you know, things going wrong because my life is this. It's because of my life is that. Let me tell you something. If you believe in the scripture and if you believe in the word of God tells us that we all have assigned agents. Everywhere you go, there is somebody that is assigned to you. They're called prosperity blockers. Everywhere you go to in this world, you can get to the goddamn moon if you wanted to. There is somebody there waiting for you. Whether he's with his hands looking like this or his hand looking like this, there is somebody that's sitting there that has been ordained by the divine evil spirits to say, "Hey, this clown is coming here. You take care of him." When I moved to Georgia, there's somebody in my community right now that is assigned to me that is supposed to stop me and my family from flourishing. But because you stay underneath the covering, that is the reason why we're able to move and go and do as we want to do. But don't make it a mistake thinking that, oh, it's somebody else that's praying against you. It's that same person that you call your friend. We've seen it too many times. Your worldly friends, you guys will get in trouble. Let me tell you something. God don't like snitches. God don't like a snitch. I can maybe give you a scripture, may not fall alongside of snitching, but it's right there, dry snitching. I'm gonna give you an example. The story of Job. I'm gonna give you an example, bro. The story of Job, right? Remember when Satan went up to the heavens amongst the angels?
Yeah.
Right? What did God say to him? He said, "Hey, have you come up here to inquire about my servant Job?"
Right.
He knew why, because God was the devil. Went, "Hey, let me go and take this, because your man ain't gonna worship you. He ain't gonna praise you if you let me take all these things from him. The only reason why he's praising you is because you have blessed him." He went up there to go and snitch on Job, right? He said, "Hey, That guy only praying you because you give him all these things. What did God tell him? Go, take away his worldly things, but his soul you might not touch. Right? So God don't like snitches. He could have been like, hey, he is? You know what? Thank you so much. Now, I'm giving you, it's funny, but I'm giving you something really seriously for you to look at.
It's funny what you saying it. That's all, like the Zach thing. That's all. That's
Zach, right? So now look, hear this out, Aaron. You got your worldly friends, right? You got your worldly friends. You guys go commit a crime. He get caught. You don't.
Right.
24 hours, 48 hours later, you on first 48s. They're knocking on your door. Hey, yeah, you remember that crime that you committed with such and such? How the hell did you find out? I wasn't it. You guys didn't catch me. You know your friend? Right. They gave him that new Popeyes Don Julio chicken.
Oh my God.
Him that dry biscuit. Gave him a Pepsi. And
with
he
the dry biscuit,
he told us exactly where you live at. You get what I'm saying? Because he's not your heavenly brother. Because if he was your heavenly brother, he wouldn't even allow you to go on that mission.
Hey man, you had somebody snitch on you who wasn't even there with you.
My point exactly. Man, listen.
But see, it's crazy because you'll be amazed at how jealousy, envy, like your own self, lack of self-esteem will make you really look at other people. And I think what happened is at one point in time that lack of appreciation and affection for yourself, to me in today's world it's like overstated. You know, it's like an overcorrection of that. Whereas though even you find in some churches where they preach to you about your haters and all this other stuff. And it's kind of funny to me because I'm like, well, why in the world would I sit around and worry about my haters? Like, why would I think about people hating on me? Why would I think about the enemy when I can think about how good God has been in my life so that I can just go and get what he needs for me? Because there's another thing somebody told me. It's like, why in the world would this particular person keep worrying about demons and what the devil has done when I know I got God on my side? I'm not worrying about that. We already know he don't have any power. Now, this was a young boy that told me this, but I couldn't tell him he was wrong because who he was talking about, because my job is I'm never going to try to divide anybody or cause any kind of confusion. But I couldn't tell him he was wrong. I couldn't tell him he was right. But I was like, if you know that, that means, you know, you have a certain level of understanding, you have a certain level of wisdom upon yourself that maybe you just need to focus on that and not worry about what other people is doing. But he made a lot of sense. Like, why would I worry about those things? Like, even like you said, with friends, see, my thing with friends is, and I say this all the time, Judas was Jesus' assignment. He wasn't mine. You know, so my thing is, like I said, that's why if you ever give me, like, in fact, and I could be wrong, that story's nowhere else in the Bible. You know, somebody being cool with somebody and y'all rolling like that and this, that, and the other, and the next thing you know, they selling you out for some silver. Like, no, I don't see nobody else selling nobody out in there, you know. But my thing is, that's why I treat people with that long handle spoon we was talking about. The moment I had to look at you sideways, and like I said, I'm gonna love you. I can't help but love you. It's just who I am, you know. And I'm not gonna allow somebody else's ignorance. I'm not gonna allow somebody else's hate. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna allow your misery to dictate if I'm going to love you or not. No, I'm going to love you. I'm still going to love you, regardless with all your nonsense and with all your mess you got going on. I'm going to love you, but we're not going to rock out. We're not going to chill. We're not going to do none of that stuff until one. My thing is, like he said with Esau, Jacob had to sit back and repent and say, "I'm a liar. I'm a deceiver." That's just how I feel. Like, you have to come and make amends. He said, confess your faults one to another so that it can be healing. I might not never get that closure. I might never get that apology from you. And then even apologies that I did get, it was always general, right? Mm-hmm. So it was like, oh, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry if I did anything to hurt you. But you can't accept the fact that I said, yeah, you hurt me because you slapped me. Mm-hmm. now they offended and they feel some kind of way. But it's like, no, you gotta make that right before, man, you can start kicking it like we need to kick it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make that right before we start getting into that, that space again where we can just like really hang out. Because realistically, you did me wrong. And a lot of times, what I find out in my life, and this is what I've told two people, I think, in a relationship. I said, you're going to leave me before I leave you. I've had one person tell me that in return. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you stuck with me. That's what you stuck with me. I'm like, that's pretty cool to hear somebody else tell me that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it was kind of like, I'm not leaving people. I'm cool with me. I'm comfortable with me because I'm healed. I'm whole. But I'm not going to allow you to stab me in my back. Like I said, I told you, I've had people call me the devil. I had people tell me not to even come to their house. I find it interesting because I'm still going to love them people and I'm going to love who they are. But at the same time, it's like, when we can sit down and have real conversations of healing and moving forward, then we can move forward. You know what I'm saying? But until then, I'm still going to love you. It don't matter.
Yeah, and that's why I said a lot of us, we need to really self-analyze these people that we call our so-called friends, because if you knew who your friends were, or at least your so-called friends, you wouldn't be surprised by the things that they do or what they've done to you. Because a lot of us, we get so comfortable where, we have access to somebody that is going to either encourage our nonsense or have the same type of trauma that we go through. So it's easier for you to connect. When I was working as a residential coordinator for Serenity Acres, which is a rehab center, right? Like a rehab sanctuary. I remember asking the head residential coordinator, I was like, yo, can I pray with them? He was like, they don't want to listen to you pray. They don't want to hear you pray. I said, why? He said, you're not an addict. Are you recovering addict? I said, no. He said, we can only, he said, most addicts only respond to other addicts who has gone through the addiction process and now has become clean. And I thought it was a slap in the face when he said that, because here I am being compassionate about the group that I was actually helping oversee, right? Mm-hmm. But then as I got mature and I started understanding some of these things, it made sense, because a lot of us, we find friendship in the things that we have no business doing. If I'm a cheater, I'm telling you, if I'm a cheater, it's easy for me to be friends with a guy who's a cheater too as well, because now I can call him and use him as an alibi. Hey, if my wife call you, you know what I'm saying? If my wife
you triggered something in me, man. Somebody tried to do that to me one time. I said, I ain't lying for you. Don't call me.
You know what I'm saying? If my wife call you, hey man, tell her that you know what I'm saying. We at the bar, whole time right. I'm at the hotel, right? And then if I'm on the streets and if I'm a drug dealers are right. I might see you like Marlo and what's his name, Avon Boxdale. They're on the wire. He knew who ran what blocks. He knew he had the towers. They know, right? Because they have the same thing alike. They are in the same circle. They're in the same. Yeah. They're in the same negative side of life where they have no business being. So we become more closer. Then you have friendships where you have a believer and a non-believer. My mom always used to tell me something that she's two things. She says, when you find a friend, it's two things. Either you change them or they change you. That's the only way my mom told me how to describe to identify my friends. Am I changing my friend to live a righteous life, to live a prosperous life? Am I encouraging him? Am I telling him the things that he needs to hear and to be able to uplift his spirit when he's down? Am I talking to him about the things that he needs to hear when it comes to him being a parent and being a father to his kids? Am I encouraging him? Or is he encouraging me to be a bad father, a bad husband, a lazy ass worker, right? Somebody who don't even want to go to church, who just wanted Friday night is coming. Oh yeah, we at the bar, baby. Let's go. Happy hour. I've seen Christians, real talk. I've seen Christians who went from being holy to busting down that Jack Daniel bottle on Friday nights like there was nobody's business. You know why? Because of their friend that they have associated themselves with. If you want to live a righteous life, if you want to live that life that God has ordained for you, you have to live around people that are like-minded like you. Because no sinner is going to tell you to live righteous when they're a sinner. So all they know is living sinful lifestyle. So they're going to influence you to be able to live a lifestyle of sin. When you look at Kirk Franklin is, when we all first met Kirk Franklin, it was stomp. It was this. Holy Ghost, are you with me? Right? And everybody said, oh yeah. Right? And everybody used to follow him. Then he started mingling himself with what? The rappers. Now all of a sudden now we say Kirk Franklin is gay. Because he had drank that Kool-Aid of the rap culture to the point where now he over there idolizing the things that he has no business doing. But when you mingle yourself with that circle, it's like pouring water and oil together. It just don't mix. And a lot of us, we have these we have these worldly friends that we know we have no business being friends with. Now, I'm not saying don't be friends with somebody that's from the world, because if you can change them and if you can influence them to find a better route to take in life, like somebody influenced me and not be on the streets, then yes, that's what you're supposed to do. But don't go over there saying that you about to go change him and save him and shoot it and speak Holy Ghost on their life, right? And then you get there, he roll up the blunt, he said, hit this, and you hitting that blunt with him. You ain't saving him. He's actually changing you for you to be like him. Now you need to save him. And I think a lot of us, we need to definitely analyze that when it comes to us picking so-called friends, especially, there you go. Put that up there, man. You see it? You see what I'm saying? But this is exactly what we have to, we have to give it a self-analysis.
Corrupt good character.
Man, there
1
you go,
Corinthians 15:33. Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you so much, Brother Caleb. So at the end of the day, man, it's nothing wrong as a believer to analyze your friend. It's not, because even the Bible tells us to do what? Discern all spirits. Discern your friends. See if they're really your friendship. You can leave your girlfriend with your man right now, and she's gonna bend over right in front of him, knowing that, hey, this man is easily provoked, right? But this is your home girl. This is supposed to be a friend. And then you have your male friends that come around your wife, and then they're already undressing her with her eyes. She ain't even dressing. She's dressed like she's covered, right? But this is supposed to be your so-called friends. You get what I'm saying? I hate some of Daniel's friends. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's one particular, I call her the bird lady. I ain't gonna lie to you. I call her the bird lady. I ain't never liked that chick, and I don't think I would ever like that chick. You know why? Because when me and Dana was going through our situation, you know what she told him? I'm here fighting for my relationship. I'm fighting to keep my family together. You know what this burnt looking joint told my wife? Hey, man, there's plenty of guys out there. You need to go out and find you one. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. She told me that, Dre. And I seen the dread. I said, Lord have mercy. No, she didn't.
Hey, Miss Who Loves Company, the old status, man.
But there you go. Go ahead. Like, remember I was telling you, I said, one of my friends always called me up, right? He be like, yo. Hey, you see how it goes, right? Don't worry. I'll take out the trash.
Hey, Dana, how you doing?
Yo. Hey. Hey.
Hey, Dana, how you doing?
Hey. Look. Hey, look. I'm telling you now, bro.
Man. I love life, man. I love life, man.
I'm telling you right there, bro. It is. I have this friend, right? And he always called me about his marriage, right? And he's always having problems in his marriage. And I always do my best as a friend, right? To tell him, like, hey, be encouraged, work on it, right? And he always asked me the same thing. You think I should leave her, right? And I said, well, why do you consistently ask me that? Is my answer going to change? I said, now, how does it look? This is for all you girlfriends who have a girlfriend who's going through something in her relationship, right? Be careful about the advice that you give her when you got your man at home. Don't tell her to leave her man so she can be manless, okay? He will call and say, I said, you asked me the same dumb question. And my response has always been the same. Pray about it and y'all go fix it. But you know what he always looking for me to say? Man, leave your wife. And then I told him, and I said, yo, what makes you think that I'm going to tell you to leave your wife when I got my girl at home, my woman is laying at home. Why would I tell her to tell you to leave yours? You get what I'm saying? But because I'm being a real friend.
That's your question. If she
What's
was
that?
beating on him, would you tell him to leave?
If he was beating on him, I would tell him.
No. If she was beating on him,
if she was beating on him,
yeah,
I would tell her they have to figure that out, Aaron. They got to figure that out, man. I'm not the one who put you together. You better call that pastor to put y'all together. If it's that justice of peace, you better go through that process of how you got married.
Oh man, you speaking facts. You spitting there, buddy.
You get what I'm saying? Because it's not my job. The Bible forbids me to do that. But that's me being a true friend. If you have a bad relationship, my job is not to pull you apart. My job is for you to go ahead and fix that. Find it. Whatever God tells you to do is what you should do. Not because I'm your friend. Leave her, girl. But then you go home. Where you at? Oh, I'm out here with Tony. We at the movies. Oh, all right, I'll call you back then. But then she's home alone.
So, all right. So this is going to another topic.
Let's go.
So what would you say? The Bible, Jesus did give us 3 stipulations for divorce and leave.
He sure did. Bring them.
I know one of them is infidelity, right?
He sure did.
So I only say this because this was years ago, and this has happened to somebody that I know. They was asking me, say, "Wait, what do God think about divorce?" And I said, "I just gave them those 3 stipulations about infidelity." And not only that, it was a repeated situation where it was like a constant kind of thing. So my thing is, I just gave them what the Bible say, and not only that, I feel like me personally, I don't really believe that God would want people to stay in a situation where they're being abused or unhappy. But
so let me ask you.
Hold up. So, but what I will say at the end of the day, you better make sure you hear from God. But my thing is, if God is not answering you, and if God's not really saying anything, I think He already spoke on that though. My thing is like, go read it, go understand it for yourself, so that you can get the revelation in that. Because if He said He came to give you life and life more abundantly, for you to sit up there and say this person like cheating on you, hitting on you, doing all of these different things, and you say that you genuinely just don't love this person no more, which is probably one of the harder ones to actually prove, but it's actually in the Bible that those are the stipulations, some of the stipulations that Jesus gave us. It's like, yeah, man, He spoke. Like I said, what we talked about last time, it's finished. You know, so my thing is, as a friend, I'm going to tell you, like, that's what He said. This is what He is saying in His word. Now, for you to go and get the revelation on that and do that, that's on you. But me personally, if I'm in a situation, so I think we're gonna go to a whole nother topic. So I don't want to do that.
Well, before you exit out of it, I will say this though. I do believe in that you do have to ask God for direction, right? So if a friend did ask me or something along those lines, I'm gonna say, hey, like my friend, my homeboy, I tell him, I said, you and her both need to fast and ask God if this is what God intended for you to be in your marriage, right?
Right.
You guys got to find out. But I think the one mistake we all make as believers is when we ask God for something, we already answer God before He answers us. And that's where the problem, the only problem I have with us going to God is that if you're going to go to God, don't ask God a question and already have the answer. You already got the answer. So why you bother going to God? Right? Because we are humans. And I remember I told you, I said, in order for you to find God, you have to be in an uncomfortable situation. Because in that uncomfortable situation, you become more available to God because now you're suffering. It is through your suffering is where you find your refuge in God. But when you're comfortable,
and not only that, I would say God don't want you to be in a situation that's going to cause you to sin either, right? Lead you not to temptation. And not only that, it's like, yo, if you're in a situation with this person, you unhappy, and now you in a situation where you're being unfaithful and you're cheating. It's like, why would you want to stay in this situation and cause yourself to go to hell? Like, why would you sit in this situation and you messing up? Because this person ain't quote unquote doing right. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't sit there and then make yourself go to hell. He said, if your eye offends you, cut it, plug it out, right? So, no, this person is offending you. This person is causing you to sin. I ain't cutting me off. I'm gonna cut them off. Like, nah, but that's just me personally. As a friend, I would say that, And I have another friend who said he was married for 16 years. And he feel like the steps that he tried to take to resolve the issue And I told him, I said, bro, I'm never one to tell you break up a marriage because I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe what God created it for. You know what I'm saying? But I told him, I said, hey, man, that's something you got to figure out. Y'all talked about. And if you're not getting no results, then I feel like you got to do what you got to do, bro. Because one thing I'm going to tell somebody, like, first of all, life's too short, especially with all this nonsense going on. And if you just plain not happy and not in love no more, and you feel like you're being abused and your situation is not changed, then bro, maybe you need to go ahead and get the divorce, man. You know?
Yeah.
But that's just me. I would never encourage that or promote that, but that is a tricky subject or topic.
Yeah, man. If you do have friends, man, all I'm saying is, man, just make sure you're taking good advice from those friends, man. Because again,
yep.
You have to know who your friends are, man. And just because you guys have similar similar pain and similar stories and stuff doesn't make you friends. To me, right. If you're gonna have a worldly friend, you have to have a heavenly friend as well. That worldly friend has to also be able to be aligned with your heavenly side too as well. Because you can't have a worldly friend and think you're going to serve God at the same time, because the Bible tells us no man can serve two masters. You can't be of the world, man. You know the guy, the pastor that I don't like. What's his name? Pastor Bryant. I don't like him. Right? I don't really. I
ain't even gonna say their name. I don't really like him. I don't really like him. I was gonna say the guy Smith, but you know,
I don't know that guy. Yeah. And look, and the reason why I don't like him is not because he's done anything personally to me. I can't get with him, right? So I was on TikTok, shout out to TikTok, and then I see that he was on, he got married, right? And then he's dancing, and I said, I used to watch you Gucci down to the socks. You know, I used to see this guy when, you know, somebody in here used to watch the reality show. So I'm watching this guy and I said, you pull up in the Bentley and you talking about putting weed plants by your church and all of that. Now you here, you know, and I'm like, you know, like if I was your friend, I would tell you something about yourself really bad. But because you have fake friends, either within your church, because you have fake advisors in your church, they're not counseling you. They're not saying, hey, brother, because they eat from the crumbs that you give them, right? They have shut their mouths and they're allowing you to do certain things that, as a believer, if I see it, I say, no, hold on. It's not supposed to be.
But you know what's funny? You saying that because I've been in a situation where when it comes to leadership and friends, oftentimes a lot of leaders will look down on people because they up here and they're at a certain place. Even their friends, I've seen them like, oh, they hating on me or this, that, and the other. And I'm just gonna be like, that's crazy. Because although this is my particular mindset, you have leaders and a lot of people call them like, oh, they're your spiritual fathers and this and the other. Although I do have a book and I'm really fuzzy on that, but I really haven't seen anybody. And although I know the relationship is like a spiritual fathering and this, that, and the other, at this point in life, I feel like to a certain degree, that's like they prostituted that, you know, because the Bible says we're still all brothers and sisters in Christ. So although you might be a leader, we're still brothers and sisters in Christ. And I should be able to come and talk to you as a brother in Christ without you looking at me like I'm hating on you, you know. But this one scripture that this one thing David said, right? It says Abraham's own father sold him out. And he said, trust in the Most High and not man, right? And it's funny because I pulled up this Bible scripture. It says Proverbs 18:24, a man who has friends, a man who has friends must himself be friendly, but there is a friend who sticks closer than any brother. You know, and that is God. But the other one is Proverbs 12:26, the godly gives good advice to their friends, and the wicked lead them astray. And I wanted to put that out there because these are all the things that you was talking about, right? Yep. And you said these different things. So everything you're saying, it does come from God. You're not just spitting out the side of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's what the word says, right? But yeah, you go ahead. I'm gonna catch back up to that thought. Yeah, go ahead.
At the end of the day, man, I mean, it's not for you to, you know, look at your friend, you know, that you have right now in a bad way. But you have to ask yourself, you know, how do you benefit me in my life? It's not being for okay. So we always told don't be selfish. There is times where you need to be selfish for yourself, because when it comes to you working on your soul, that is something that you have to take very seriously. So you have the right to be selfish when it comes to you saving your soul, because me being friends with you is not going to get you into heaven. You still got to work on your soul. So it's okay for you to be selfish when it comes to your soul. So it's also okay to be selfish of who you allow to be in your life. Because the thing about life is you want to be able to prosper and move forward, but do it in the right way. You can find yourself in a situation where you hanging with the wrong crowd. You can even go to the wrong church. You will go to the wrong church.
Speak on it, brother.
They got the biggest sign in there, said the house of the Lord. You have from our grandparents' time, they be in the church and they sitting next to each other. As soon as Sister Mary walks in there, she like, yeah, there goes Sister Mary right there. Look at her. She probably sleeping with her husband in the church. But they sisters in Christ, right? So it's the same thing. There's no different than your so-called worldly friend. What benefit did that? What beneficial role did they play in your life? How are you making me better? If you only calling me when you need things, let me get the opportunity to call you when I'm in something, when I need something. If you can't do that to your friend, then that's not your friend. You have to be able to ask yourself these questions, because I'm telling you from experience, I even experienced that a little bit. And I'm going to be honest with you. I told you, when I was praying for people to leave out from Otoro Fist's facility, which is the Department of Homeland Security in New Mexico, Chaparral, New Mexico, I told you, I was praying and I was fasting, I was doing preaching, I was doing all sorts of things, and people were getting released fast. Every day somebody was going home back to their family. And I called my mom on the phone. I said, Mom, why is it that all the people that I'm praying for, they're going home and I'm still here? Isn't that me being envious and jealous of people that is going home? And I'm telling you, I'm a believer in God. But even me at my own lowest, I had to question that. So what makes you think a person who's not a believer in God? What benefit do they will serve in your life? You trying to get ahead and you trying to run forward to get that promotion. They're telling you, let's go out the next day so you can go get drunk. You go to job the next day for that interview for your own position that you want to get, and you out there trying to recover from the night before. That's your friend? That's your friend. Your friend, I had a homeboy who got in the car to go to 7-Eleven out there in Bowie, Maryland. His homeboy got out the car to go rob the 7-Eleven, came back and sat in the car, didn't tell him nothing had happened. He got locked up, had to do 5 to almost 10 years. But that's his friend. So I ask you, you got to ask yourself, who is your friend? Because your so-called friend can lead you in that path of destruction. A lot of these young boys right now, they got friends. And a lot of them, they're 15, 14. I just heard a mom crying in D.C. right there, saying that her son was on house arrest. He took off the ankle monitor to go hang out with some friends at a subway station, Union Station. Got gunned down. He got gunned down because he wanted to go out there and hang out with his friends. You gotta be careful.
That's a scary thing, because the young guys nowadays don't even let you know who they ops is, and all of y'all. You know what? I look at a lot of them, and one thing I constantly pray about my son about is because I pray that my son understands how different he is when it comes and accept the fact that he's different than the other boys that he's trying to be around. You know, I never understood when we was growing up. You could not want to be. I couldn't walk around and look like you. I mean, I couldn't afford to look like y'all anyway. But you know what? I think like DC dudes couldn't dress to me. That's just me.
Hey, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
You're not from DC, bro. You're not from DC. Cut it out.
I'm from Landover, Maryland. Watch your mouth. I'm right there by the border.
I'm from DC. I didn't say they couldn't dress to me when I was in college. That's what I'm saying. I didn't understand y'all culture. That's what I'm saying back then. But you know, we was plain Jane and looking crazy too. Hey, shout out to David. They dissed me in the song, man. They dissed me in the song, man. God. I was broke as I don't know what. I had some K-Swiss on my feet, man. Yo, Rock is just not teasing me about my K-Swiss, man. That's my man, though. See, they're your friends. There you go. But I knew he loved me, man, because he pulled me up and told me about it at the same time. I was like, "Ah, you suck, dog."
They will tell you something like that, though.
Yeah, he crazy. You know, I'm a man. So, but at the same time, I was like, you couldn't want to look like nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
You had the bubble vest on. You was fly. Don't get me wrong. You was fly. I'm gonna say Greg was fly. Boo was fly.
Greg from Bowie, he better be fly.
You know what I'm saying? But the DC look, that wasn't too fly to me. I was like, man, that looked crazy. But when you look at the young boys today, every last one of them look alike.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody want to wear the Nike ski mask. Everybody want to wear black. Everybody want to look alike. But I was like, the sad part about that, if you got into a beef, or one of your friends got into a beef, because y'all all look alike and y'all walk around covering y'all face up. If somebody was trying to get you, they gonna get all y'all because they want to get that one person.
Yeah.
But these are the people you want to hang around. It's things like that slips that confuses me when it comes to this new generation. Like, why would you want to look like somebody else? I mean, you found pleasure and got the most attention, you know, from even girls, if that's the case, when you look different. I'm gonna give them an option. I'm gonna look completely different. Why would I want to look like that next guy over there? I would never understand that. You know, it's called individuality, and it just don't exist anymore.
Yeah, and
even the people nowadays, it's like they just want to copy and paste. But the value comes in authenticity. You know what I'm saying? Like the originality. Anytime you copy anything, a painting, artifact, anything, it devalues itself. The more you have of anything it's going to have less value.
Yeah.
Don't look like your friends. I don't even want to be like my friends. And like I find a beauty. I find a beauty even in our friendship of how different we are.
Yeah. And that's why I said it's you gotta me personally now. I'm telling you, man, my cutoff game is crazy. Because if you don't serve a purpose in my life, man, I would treat you as if you're the bush rat that I was trying to eat when I was back in my village, man. I don't even got that.
Put on Facebook,
man. Yes, the grass cutter. Americans try to give it a nice name. We call it akusie. If you're from Ghana, if you're from the village, you know what that is. You get what I'm saying? I will cut you off quick. And the reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, my peace of mind is so valuable that when I meet somebody, I ask myself, what purpose and what role do you play in my life? And it doesn't mean that. What's up?
I'm asking you a question. Because, you know, growing up, they used to have this statement said, don't never burn a bridge because you might need to cross it one day, right? Mm-hmm. There was another one I was thinking about, right? But see, I think that's the reason why I think the way that I think. Because I think it's hard to cut people off when you might have to go back and minister to them.
That is true. That is very true.
Because you know, God might use you. He might not use somebody else. He might use you to go back and talk to that person. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I have a lot of people in my life, and I'm, respond to it. I'm sorry. I have a lot of people in my life, and this is what I tell my daughter. You have to, just like you said, you have to learn how to put people in a proper place in your life. Like my daughter, like you have friends that you can talk anime about. You have friends that you could talk about growth in business about, but you can't have the anime friends talk about life and growth because they're not on the same page as you. Because when that Bible scripture says, what does light have to do with darkness? I also think to a certain degree that has to do with believers too, right? Because as believers, you know, there's immature believers and there's mature believers. Me and you can sit down here because the Bible says, like you said, get knowledge, get wisdom, get knowledge, all you get understanding. Not only that, it says, come and let us reason together, right? We don't never argue the word. You listen in part on me, I listen in part on you. We grow and we go together. Iron sharpens iron, right? I think when you're trying to grow and you develop in your friendships, you understand, like I said, most of the people that I consider what when most people say friends, I consider family. I've had friends that treat me better than my own family. I have friends that have done more for me and imparted on me way more than my own family. Even if it's like I said, you calling me to give me a word. Like I used to sit back and say, like, yo, how do the strong be encouraged? By people like you. I have a friend like you that's going to sharpen me and encourage me and keep me going, not just call me and just dump all of your stuff on me. And it's crazy because I have friends that do that. Now, I'm not going to sit up there and be selfish enough to say, don't call me no more because all you do is bring me your drama. I always use those moments to minister. I'm going to tell you the truth whether you like it or not. And I even had one of them say, man, you know, I don't even like you sometimes because you always going to tell me stuff that I might not necessarily want to hear because it's a conflict with his own pride. But he still keep calling me. But if you're going to keep calling me, you're going to keep getting this truth. And if you keep calling me, you're going to keep getting this. Every now and then you do call me and say, hey, man, how you doing? What's going on? Make sure your stress level's not up. Make sure you're not depressed. But more than likely, you know, he'll call me and I'm not mad at it. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with it because I look at it like he obviously finds something in me to make him want to call and be encouraged. My thing is I will probably not invest as much time as it if you decide to keep continuing in a circle. Then I'll have that distance. But I can't cut him off because I might be the only person that can get a word through to him. You feel what I'm saying? He might be the only person that, you know what I'm saying, that like the closeness to God that he was having. I have another friend of mine, like I said, I just call people from time to time and just say, man, I love you. Yo, what's going on? And then he get to talking. And then one day he said, man, you really messed me up, man. I didn't expect for you to give me that spiritual partation in my life. I didn't expect you to do that. And he said, and it was so on point and so on time. He said, I needed to hear that. He said, I was just dealing with a lot of stuff. But see, I would only do that like even times I'd be quiet. And then like, if I'm meditating and God will put somebody on my heart, then I'll reach out and call them and this and the other. Or like I said, sometimes people will call me. And then, like I said, to me, it's always ministry. It's always me. I'm going to do my best. And what I love to do in people, because I just love people, is to empower them. But I'm wondering, like, how can you do that if you cut them off? Because there's a lot of people I really want to cut off. I ain't going to lie. I really want to cut them off, bro.
Remember we talked about this
person, Aaron James, the person, I want to cut you off. Well, but the spirit side of me is like, the bigger purpose is the work.
That's true, right? So let me respond to that question. How do you know to not cut that person off because God might use you to go back, or that's the person that God want to use you to save, right?
I don't know. Honestly, I just can't do it.
So,
that's just me.
Okay, so the scripture tells us we have to discern, right? We have to discern the spirits. I tell you, if somebody's coming and they're coming in my life, I analyze them and say, what purpose do you serve in my life? Right?
Okay, so like your neighbor that you was telling me about.
Okay, so yeah, my neighbor. We sit down and, you know, we all hang around each other and, you know, we live right across the street from each other, right? And you have an issue, perfect. You had an issue with your friend. I had just moved into my house. Not even 3 weeks. 2 weeks, if that. You borrow something from your friend, which was a barrel, right? The one that has the wheel in it. They put mulching in it. I think that's it. If I'm saying wrong. Okay, then
no,
okay. A wheelbarrow. That's what it's called. So you borrow it. You gave your friend some 2x4s from your basement that you stole from my house when they were building it. So it wasn't even yours, right? So you steal his wood and you give it to you sold it to your friend. Right. Your friend didn't give you the money, so now you decided to take the wheelbarrow as collateral. He calls you on the phone and say, hey, I'm coming back to your house. I need my wheelbarrow. You say, hey, come and get it. I just moved. I'm outside putting my solar lights on by my garden, so when the sun hit, I can see my light at night.
Right.
He comes walking across the street in the cul-de-sac. He has his pistol on his hip. Now I know I'm in the South, so I said, "Hey man, Why are you walking around with your Glock 40 here on in broad daylight? What is this for? We live in a nice neighborhood. He said, oh yeah, my friend, he told me coming over to my house. I told him, if you come over here, I got Roscoe for him. I said, it's okay, fine. Why you come here to tell me? Why you feeling me? You got to tell me. So he walks back to his house. Then I see the truck pulling up. The guy get out the car, they're arguing. Yeah, give me my wheelbarrow. He said, hey man, don't step on my property. Now I'm by my side of my house, putting the stuff in the trash can. All I hear is, yo, Jojo. I said, Jesus, this guy's about to make me witness to murder.
That's the best thing you could say, man. Don't call me. I feel you. Don't call my name.
I said, Jesus.
You'll send the instant referral to the father.
Now I'm about to be a witness. This guy's going to force me to snitch. Because they're going to say what happened, and I have to.
Oh, dog, they don't make you a snitch, though.
No, but you're going to have me to testify. I don't even know you like that.
Right,
you get what I'm saying? Right. But you're putting me in this situation.
Right. Your mic went out, bro. All right, say that again. Your mic went out.
I said, so now how can I be friends with somebody like that?
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Because now I already see the type of person you are.
Mm-hmm.
Accept you as a friend. And if me and you have a disagreement, I know Roscoe is going to be in the middle of the conversation. You get what I'm saying? So, yes, I can cut off without even thinking back.
No. Stuff like that, I agree. Because not only that, like I said, I would never establish a bond with somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you'll just be a neighbor. Hey, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? And like you said, because I still be cordial, because again, like I said, I don't know if one day God might send me go over there and speak a word to you, but it is not like I'm just gonna wave at you and just keep moving. Or if I see you, I'm not gonna speak to you. You know, stuff like that. Like when you say cut off, in my mind,
cut off.
Thinking like,
the cut off, that's for the people in PG County in Maryland. That's for people in the state of Maryland. I've learned to cut a lot of them off, man.
Nah, is that one of them? He in PG? Where he at?
Oh no, he's definitely PG, but that's he's not one of them. Shout out to Steve. Hey Steve, we use your instrumental that you created for the opening for the podcast, man. Thank you so much.
Shout out to my baby girl, man. I want to shout out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, big time. Big time. Thank you so much for putting that together. Yeah, man. But you get what I'm saying? So let me tell you something. When I left, the reason why I left Maryland was because I felt like people were playing with me. And when I said people were playing with me, I felt like people didn't appreciate me, even for what I was doing for the community, right? So I had to learn. I said, well, how can I make myself available and unavailable at the same time? If you only saw me when I came out to do good, then you didn't have anything to say about me because you don't see me on my regular day off. Right. You get what I'm saying? So the only way you see my life is when you see me on the podcast, or if me and you are cool, I will call you directly. The rest of the people up there, I didn't feel like you were worthy to be in my presence. So in order for me to obtain that, I said, you know what? If I move away and if I move to just Fort Washington or Waldorf, I might see them at the Food Lion, the Shoppers, the Safeway, and I might have to stop and talk to you. But if I live in Georgia, hey, now tell her where you there be. I don't know. You don't know. You get what I'm saying? You
went to Georgia to cut somebody off. Your cutoff game is super strong. Yes,
yeah, I told you I didn't have time. I didn't have time to. I could have bought my house.
You got time you playing with people. No, I get it though. I understand.
You know but it's just the fact that it's like I was too accessible, and with me being accessible to so-called friends, they didn't appreciate me. They held no value in my life. They wasn't helping me grow. Let me give you an example. When I got locked up,
we did the same thing. I think we worded differently, but we did the same thing. I feel
let me give you something, right? I just put up on Facebook not too long ago. I said a lot of y'all hang with so-called real friends, right? A lot of y'all hang with real friends, but ask your friends to show you their paperwork, right? Because the so-called friends they have testimonies in actual court of law that you want to big up on these social media platforms, right? Somebody like Big Meech, no shout out to him, but they say that he has paperwork on him, right? But everybody in Atlanta, when you talk about him in Atlanta and Detroit, he is the street king. right?
Right.
But there's
Right.
paperwork on them. These so-called friends that I had back in my neighborhoods, back in the community, back in the area, they all were calling me a rat. And I said, if you know the type of friend that I am, if you know the type of person that I am, how can you even associate me with that? Fine, this is America, right? If you want something in black and white, you can find it. $35 court transcripts will get you everything in a court of law. It's public information. If you need the money, if you don't have it, I can even give it to you. But because they didn't understand how God could get me out of my situation, right?
They think you snitched on somebody.
To get out. But the thing is, you have to understand that we are not the same. Me being a real friend, when you get in trouble, I'm not going to just smear your name. I'm not going to do that. A real friend, I will hold your integrity. If I'm a real friend and I know who you are. But
Right.
because
no, you know what? When I would consider myself street at one point in time, but when I went to college, that was it. I came back around the neighborhood, my brothers, and they was doing what they was doing. I said, hey, bro, listen to me, man. I'm telling you right now, don't do nothing around me that you don't want other people to know. And I told him straight like that, because that wasn't me anymore. I lost all of that when I went to college. And when I like hanging around Terrence, hanging around Keon, first time I ever went down to Iverson Mall with Glenn, the first time I went to DC with David, like all that stuff made me look back from where I came from. And although all of them definitely look pretty much the same, DC and Baltimore look the same, it was more so like, yeah, I don't think I want to involve myself in none of this anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know for a fact that Coppin State University changed my life and took all of that street stuff that I had away from me, man. I couldn't do it.
You know what Coppin did, right? It was college for me was a safe haven for me. Because I was running away from certain things, and you had people at college that was trying to run to the things that we was trying to run away from. You get what I'm saying? You got them fake dudes that came from New York, New Jersey, Philly, Delaware, right? DC, PG County, that whole Oxon Hill crew, Suitland crew that was up in Coppin that was acting like they was like that.
Oh, you know what I'm saying? How you call them out like that,
I did, because they were getting allowance from their parents. How you treating your mama putting allowance in your account? Let's be honest.
That was the PG dudes to me. That was all the PG.
That's what I'm saying.
The Philly dudes I know was some real dudes. The New York dudes I know,
man, only a handful of them. It was
that's what I'm saying. I don't see that shit, but I'm talking about the ones that we hung around, like the ones.
Yeah, you got them Bammers, you got them dudes on the basketball team coming out there trying to be street. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Then you got dudes. Hold on, I'm about to give you something better. Then you got my co-defendant from Coppin. We got in the joint at Central Book and dudes start singing like a church choir. But y'all call themselves street. You street.
They don't understand.
You street. But that's what I'm saying. There's paperwork on all y'all. Like, at the end of the day, bro. And you used to call me.
Maybe they was the same ones that put that on you then.
Hold on. You used to call me your friend. We got locked up for the same exact thing. You knew exactly what we was doing. We ran the second floor in Dedmon. Every basketball player that smoked weed at Coppin came through us. But then when we get locked up, I didn't know this was that. I didn't do nothing. It was all him. You get what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's at the end of the day, if you told me you my friend, what benefit did you play in my life to be able for me to call you my friend? You snitched, not even 24, 48 hours later. You get what I'm saying? Now, if you take it personal, you can take it personal. It is what it is. It's the truth. It's black and white. I'm not calling you out on anything. It is what it is. I'm just giving you the real conversation. I'm giving you the real facts as far as what I'm saying. You got to know who you call your friend. Let me give you something better, Aaron. When I got in trouble, when I got locked up with my cousin and his friend in Alabama, right? You know what I told my cousin? I said, hey, bro, not just the fact that we cousins, I know that you already got a charge in Tennessee. Let me take this charge for Alabama, because if you get this and you get that, they're going to add more years to you. at least I will get 2 years. I'll be able to be home to see my son turn 2 years old. But if you take this charge here too, they're gonna lock you up at least for 5 to 10 years. You know what my cousin told me? Nah, don't do that. He said, we just gonna ride it out. We should be out. We got into Jefferson County. I said it again when our bond went from 500,000 to a million to 1.5 million. I said the same thing. I said, hey man, let me take the charge. Not because you just my cousin, because I looked at you as my friend. You my brother. We did this together. Right? So let me take the charge for it. Now, somebody might say, you know, you crazy, but that was the lifestyle I was living. So
that's what we were taught. Yeah.
Right. And I'm giving you the difference between how you can call somebody your friend, your homeboy, your brother. If he doesn't demonstrate something like that for you, then at the end of the day, that's not who you're supposed to be with. He said, I told man not to make that. Oh, you sure did. Hey, shut up, man. I'm glad I made that drive, Steve. And the reason why I said I'm glad I made that drive is because it shaped me to be the man who I am today. So I give all glory to God that I went up there because I found God, not at Prince George's County, not in the state of Maryland. I met my God in Alabama. So you're right. You told me, but I had to go, bro. I had to go. So you have to have that substance. You have to have that foundation in order for you to say, Aaron, you my friend. What role and benefit do you play in my life to help me grow? Now you know right. If I came home, right? If I came home and I'm hanging with the same crowd, right? Let me tell you the reason why I cut everybody off. When I came home, of course, I lost my house. I lost my, my apartment or whatever. I lost my car. My girl done left me. My son is living somewhere else. I'm sleeping in my mom's house on the floor in her house, right? I called my cousin's friend and I said, yo, you remember me? He said, yeah, I know who you are, la, la, la. He said, I talked to your cousin. He told me you held it down, la, la, la. I said, yo, I need about like $500 to get on my feet. You know what he told me? He said, yeah, I got 500, but you're going to have to go out there and work for it. You got to go put in your own work. But then I'm thinking, hey, we all cool. I'm trying to change my life now. But
what year was that?
Back in 2014, dog.
Yeah, 2025, that have a whole different meaning, though. But I hear what you're saying.
But you get what I'm saying? Oh, you talking about you got to go.
You got to say pause after that. But I got
I'm not Cameron and I'm not Maze. I ain't saying no pause. If you got to take it like that,
I'm just thinking, man. I'm just
you get what I'm saying? But you know, it's just like, that's how you knew that is not the circle of friends that I need to be around, because I'm trying to elevate my life, but they trying to slow me down and trying to take me back to the streets. I can't be.
Now you're right. And you saying that made me think about this. I guess because I always thought like I didn't want my own friends and people to get in trouble and people that I loved and stuff like that. It was like, you know what they say, never let your left hand know what your right hand doing. I think Keon know about a couple of my moves that I made, but it wasn't like street stuff, but just stuff that I did. But I was always taught to do your dirt by yourself. You know what I'm saying? I think that's probably the reason why, like when I met people that I felt like I can trust or I was cool with, I have a hard time not having that relationship anymore. Because I was always like, a certain point in time, like I think I told that story, like I lost my apartment before I moved that Coppin. Before I stayed on the Coppin, I lost my apartment. I rode a bike all the way to West Baltimore, bro, to stay in somebody's house. And this was like 12 o'clock at night. And anybody knows, like, that's a hump. I'm talking about from Sinclair Lane in Moravia all the way to like Park Heights in Cold Spring. Like
that's a drive.
I know. I rode a bike, bro. I rode a bike.
That's a drive. That's a hike.
That's a hump.
Yeah,
and when I got there,
it's a journey.
Shorty was asleep and didn't open the door. So I had to ride that bike all the way back across town. And luckily, my brother at the time, my oldest brother, he had his own place. He was up, but I didn't want to bother him because he was married with kids. It just so happened that by the time I got over there, he had his homeboys and stuff over there, and they were just still up outside. And they was like drinking and stuff. So I was like, dang, like I just stopped over there because I really didn't have nowhere else to go. But it's things like that, man, when you sit back and say, I'm grateful for real friends. I'm grateful for real people, family members. And not only that, one of the things that I realized later in life is that a real friend is going to just be honest with you, no matter how much you don't like the answer. No matter how much you like truth. Now, I was this nice guy at one point in time, and I felt like circumstances happened to make me just get kind of raw at one point in time and start saying things a certain way. But I still realized, like I said, when my family member was trying to move down to Florida, and I was like, "Nah, don't do it, bro. Don't do it. These circumstances and things like that need you to be here." And I always felt like if I was ever in a situation and I'm about to fall off a cliff, and I think I put this on Facebook one time. I was like, yo, if I was in a situation, I think I was going to harm myself or try to self-transition, how many people would actually stop me? Because when you get to that point, I think a lot of people that care about you would want you to stop. But how many people really love you and care enough to see you going down that road to try to prevent you from going down there in the first place? Like Steve said, like he loved you and cared enough about you, said, you don't take that drive, even though you still took that drive and said you had to go down there. At least you had somebody in your corner and say, "Yo, that was a friend," because at least he really seen me going down the path that I really wasn't supposed to go, and he said, "Don't do it." And see, that to me makes more of a friendship because, like, I respect you enough to say, like, "Yo, when I was doing my crazy stuff, at least you tried to stop me," and I can respect that because you had my back the whole time, even though I did it wrong. I appreciate you for trying to stop me.
Yeah, and that's why he was my best man at my wedding. Now you see why. When I talk about those Bammers from Oxon Hill and Suitland, he's not one of those people, man. That was perpetrating at Coppin State University.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's just one of those things where I think like we really have to do a lot of self-analyzing when it comes to people we hang with, because when you turn on the TV now, it's like when you see somebody get murdered, the first thing I was like, man, I wonder who their friends were. I'll never ask what they did. I always ask who their friends were, because if I find out who their friends were, then I know the type of lifestyle he was involved with all around. That's the easy way to if you was a detective, that's the easiest way to figure it out. Like, oh, okay, he got murdered. He got shot how many times? 17 times? Oh, okay, he must be a hit on the street. That kid that killed Gilly's son in Philly, right there. I guess they say he's supposed to be the one that killed Gilly's son, right? They shot him 17 times while he was walking with his mother. Everybody knew him as a basketball player, but the friends he hung with off the court, they wasn't basketball players. So you get what I'm saying? So now it's like, these are your friends. If you true friends and they see that you got a talent to get yourself and them out the hood, why would they even allow you to come around the block? Hey, man, go in the gym. Go shoot some hoops. It don't make you less of a dude or a nigga on the street. It just means that we see that you got a better potential than we do. Get it?
The crabs in the barrel, bro.
Bro, that's a perfect example is like AI. You see AI, Allen Iverson, we've seen all his goons that he used to hang with. He was the first basketball player I seen that he had his homeboys as his security guards.
Yeah.
Because they saw that Bubba Chuck, or whatever they used to call him, can make it out the hood and get him up out of there. So guess what they did? Hey, we know you go hard and all that, but we're going to do all that dirt for you. We're going to take care of everything. You just go play ball. And when he did right by them, now however their relationship went after that, that's different. But, you know, he brought his homeboys with him. His entourage was with him. You get what I'm saying? But it's about, you know, knowing those people that's supposed to be in your corner and really are supposed to be in your corner. Steve was supposed to be in my corner, and that's why he stayed into my corner to this very day. He may not answer the phone when I call him, but at least he texts me back or call me back. Maybe 2 weeks later. You know But he serves a purpose in my life just as much as he can never say I never served a purpose in his life. Because there's a lot of things that has transpired that I've always been around him, been there for him, spoke positivity for him, encouraged him, uplifted him. Right? So it's like he can say, hey, that's my friend. I can say that's my friend. You know what I'm saying? Because we have something in common that allow us to grow each other, grow as fathers, grow as good people in our communities, to uplift the community. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. You have to have that you have to have some type of relationship. The word relationship is having something to relate. You have to have some type of relation to be able to have that friendship in that relationship. And that's just what, that's why I was like, from starting, for those who missed out, for somebody to tell you've been doing work on the streets with the whole time, and they tell you, hey, man, I was going to kill you, but this is your friend. That's not him telling you that. That's God exposing who they were in your life. So that's what I'm saying. You got to find the people that really serves a purpose and play that important role in your life.
Yeah, like I said, man, as we had this conversation, you really made me think about a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of things that I know that I have to rearrange and put in place. And it's some things, like I said, I had to look in the mirror and deal with, you know. So I appreciate it because, like I said, like my daughter, she's 17, she's working now. Like on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, she work. That means I'm in a house by myself, and it gives me a lot of time to meditate. And at first, it's like you crying out, you want to leave out, you want to be around people that you care about and care about people that people that you love and stuff like that. But I realized it was like just yesterday, I realized like, no, I'm in a situation for a reason. Then it made me sit down and start evaluating me. And I had to sit back and be like, yes, I don't have a lot of like, I'm not even really mobile right now. So I can't even really move around like I really want to. But I'm glad I'm not at the same time because it's in this moment now that I'm be able to work on me, build on me, evaluate my friendships, and evaluate the reason why people is in my life. You know what I'm saying? And then sit back and like, yeah, after you told me that, it was like, that's a good idea. I think I'm gonna sit down and take these next couple of weeks or so and just really just reevaluate the people purposes that's in my life. Because like I said, I know me, I love hard. I love a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? It's relationships and people I tried to walk away from and still went back to, you know, and I'm just like, nah, I really got to sit down and really evaluate some things in my life and where I really want to go and what I need to do and then make that decision, you know what I'm saying? Not to say I need to do the cutoff game, you know.
But you know what, though?
Elijah kept rapping this one bar about Jay-Z. It was the funniest thing in the world when we was in college because it was about one of our friends. He was like, they like cut. Remember that? He was like,
oh yeah.
Homeboy got cut.
I forgot what song that is. But you know,
I forgot too. But he just kept rapping that joint. But I'm like, yeah, I need to really reevaluate that. That kept going through my head too.
When how I came to that realization of how I had to move with people is that I kept asking God, you know, show me the people that are in my life. It's not just I got up and just started cutting everybody left and right. I asked for it.
Right.
Remember, I told you, I said, remember when you a believer and you ask for that divine intervention and that divine answer from God or the divine path that you need to walk on, you got to be very careful because you might even start looking at your own mother in a strange way. And that's in the sense that just because she's your mother doesn't mean she wanted to see you prosper. We've seen that with history.
The Bible says, who is my mother? Who is my father?
That's what I'm saying. So, like, when I asked God to start showing me people in my life, I started this. I really didn't have to do it. I just had to just follow God. I can't go around this person. I used to go to the basketball court and play basketball on Sundays and talk to my friends all the time, people around my neighborhood all the time. But then at some point, I started going around there. Not because they done anything to me or they ran me off my neighborhood. None of that. They could never do that.
That's what I had to do to my brother and my sister. And I think that was I think that was part of a rift that happened in my family. I remember like my sister seen me at the worst moment in my life. Like I was really going through some things with my ex-wife. And I feel like that was like one of the worst moments of my life when she saw me. And then when I made up my mind to like rebuild myself and heal and really go forward, what I realized, because we would get together and we would like just drink and smoke and do all this other stuff, I realized like, yo, dog, you got to cut that off because you can't heal and grow and then talk about the things that's God doing if you in a situation with them. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not going to understand it. Like you said, a lot of people sit back and be like, well, how you growing in God and you still sitting here cussing and you drinking and you this, that, and the other. So I had to stop going around them. And once I got myself together to a certain degree, and I was like, I bought my house, I got a car, all these different things. And I went back to try to just say, hey, man, and this is early on. So we all moved past this part. And it was just like, hey, look what God doing to me. Like, God is this, that, and the other. And it was like, oh, you think you're better than me. And I was like, huh? Like, no, like I wanted to show you how you get out of it. Like, I just did it. We ain't got to sit here and smoke and cuss and drink and do all this other stuff like we was doing. We could literally just sit down here and laugh and have fun and talk about the things that we've gone through and this, that, and the other. But it was like in those moments, I started realizing like, oh, snap. But that's what I was saying. Like, a lot of people bond together, so-called friendship, because we all hurt. You know, we all went through it. We all had that situation. But now it's like, no, those relationships and things will start falling apart. And it's not for you to like, oh, I'm hurt by them. I'm done with them. I'm walking away from them. It's just that trauma you heal. Like, you know, now my sister went on her journey. My brother went on his journey. But, you know, at the time, you don't understand. Like, people got to do it at their own time. People got, they got to walk their own path. But I was just like, hey, look, if he did it for me, he going to do it for you.
Do it for you. Yeah.
I mean, he's no respect a person. But those things will happen, you know.
Hey, man, look, when me and Dana started looking for houses, right? We didn't have no money in the account, not a single dollar. And then and the crazy thing is, we used to always get invitations to people that had just bought the house. And me and Dana would walk in there and I would look and I'm like, dang, this is really nice. And I started looking at their cabinets and I started looking at their islands. And I was like, man, if I get my house, I would want this type of color with this type of, I started picturing and imagined what I
vision.
wanted.
You started giving God something to
but I was giving those people their praises and their hard work. And I was telling them, man, I love it. This is beautiful. The last person that invited me to the house that they purchased was I don't know if you remember Frank and Chastity. Frank and Chastity bought this beautiful townhome. And I walked in there and I said, damn, this is it right here. And I remember leaving their house after they showed us the house and gave us the tour. And we got in the car and I said, Dana, I can't wait for God to bless us like this one day. Man, I love everything about the house, the hardwood floor, the coffee cabinet color. I went down the thing, right? But I never once in my mind or my heart said, how come they got it? The only thing I used to say, I said, God, the way you bless my friends, bless me the same way when it's my time. You get what I'm saying? But then you have those other friends that you might see them everything. And he's like, dang, girl, why you buy this house? I don't like this. Then they go back and talk bad about you. Rather than encouraging you, they're talking bad about you. Matter of fact, they're actually waiting for you to miss your first mortgage payment. But he's supposed to be your friend. Girl, I lost my job. I told you should never bought that house. Well, why would you encourage your friend to buy a house if they could? Just because you ain't got to go me, they're not supposed to have it. So, yes, it is good to analyze these people in our lives because if I'm in your life, I have to serve a purpose for you.
Right.
And a purpose that is meaningful purpose for you, not to drag you down. Not to if you have alcohol problem or you have alcohol addiction, I'm not supposed to be as a friend take you to the bar. But you got friends right now say just come sit with me. You ain't got to drink. But I'm supposed to be your friend. That's not how it's supposed to be. Right. You don't need that type of friend in your life.
Yeah, y'all put people in position to win, bro.
Man, I'm telling you, man.
I put them in position to win. And if you don't have people around you to put you in position to win, you're right. You got to ask yourself what purpose they serve. You got to, the Bible says, no, you got to know those that labor among you. So you got to know the people around you for a reason. You got to understand them and know where you fit at in there. But like you said, man, like I said, I in certain people's houses, I won't go over. I just won't even go over certain people's houses. You know what I'm saying? Like, just certain places I just can't go. And as I say, that's the reason why I don't even go out like that. But I do got to find a way to do it in a healthy way now. No, I do have to find.
I'm telling you, man, the same way we pray about God showing us things is the same way that we should be praying about God putting those right people in my life.
That's right.
It's the same way. So it's like, we just have to be patient. All these things that I'm telling you that I asked God about, it didn't happen overnight. It happened.
So where do you find the strength to do that? So for anybody, and I guess with me, I'll end with that question, right? Because we're running late. The people that know that there's certain people around them that they don't need to be around them. How did you find the strength to really go back and say, cut?
You have to, and I'm glad you asked that question because I think
people
a lot of us
around people, but they still have a hard time letting go.
It is. The most hardest thing I think I had to experience was learning how to separate myself from people in order for me to grow. That is the hardest thing, especially when they haven't done anything to you. Right. But they're not doing anything for you as well. But it starts with you finding your real friend, and that is God. You have to have your relationship with God first. In order for you to even love yourself, you have to love the person that created you.
Right.
You have to find that first love. That first love is not the bottle, or it's not your homeboy. The first love is the person who tapped you on your shoulder to wake up this morning. Once I found that first love with God, I learned that the people that I thought were my
Your mic out, bro. The mic went out. Say that again. Yeah.
I said the people that I was hanging with, they couldn't do things for me that God couldn't do. They couldn't even imagine that to begin to change and help me transition within my life. You get what I'm saying? Right. So for me, it was easy because I found my relationship and I found my love with God, and that was my real friend. I started hanging with God and I stopped hanging with my worldly friends. So when I started hanging with God and he started opening those doors for me, that became my addiction. My addiction of peace, sobriety from the rest of the world, my peace of mind that I talk about, the freedom from underneath my mom's house. I found all of that once I found God. And I call him when I need him. Hey, man, I'm going through something. The Bible said, my mama used to say, don't run to the phone, run to the throne. I had to run to the throne. So when I found that pathway, I said, oh, Steve ain't answer, that's cool. I can go talk to God until Steve called me. Let me tell you something before I let you go, man. I did the most hurtful thing I could ever do to a friend. My friend Jermaine Spriggs, man. Before I went to Alabama to get locked up, my friend came up to me and said, hey, man, I got 4 or 5 kids. Me and my wife sharing one car. I need about $5,000 to go get this truck. I had $55,000 in cash in my pocket that day. You know what I told my friend? I said, man, I'll be right back. Let me go to the liquor store real quick. I don't even drink like that, but when Rick Ross brought out those Bel Air Rose bottles, Jermaine will tell you who bought him his first few bottles. I went over there and bought like 4 or 5 of those bottles. Brought it to his house.
Big rose.
Sit in his basement, right? We popped the bottles, drank as much as we can drink, and I left the rest that I can live. And I said, hey, Jermaine, I'll be right back. I never came back, and I got locked up in Alabama. When I first came home, I'm giving you the definition of a true friend. When I first came home, I remember sleeping in my mama's house. I lost my car, lost my apartment, lost my girl. My son is sleeping somewhere else. He has no clothes, no bed to sleep in, Aaron. And I remember Jermaine calling me. He said, yo, I know you're not supposed to be home yet because the state of Alabama didn't want you to leave the state of Alabama. Walk up to my house when I get off work. I get off work at 5 o'clock. Walk up to my house. I walked up to his house. Jermaine handed me $300 in cash. The iPhone that I'm using right now to talk on and to preach on, this iPhone that I ever started using, Jermaine got me an iPhone, put me on his account, and then took me to Walmart and bought my son clothes and toys and bought my son a bed to sleep in.
Wow.
Now, this is the same friend that I was supposed to help. But he showed me what a true friend is. So it's not easy to cut off people, but it's the most beautiful thing you can do is when you cut people off to find that right person that God is meant to be in your life. So when I talk about friendship, I speak off of experience because I know how to be a friend because I wasn't a friend. So when I learned how to be a friend, now I know how to become a better friend for anybody.
Yeah. I think I'm going to appreciate this long time now, man. I want to appreciate this long time. Next time you see me, all this might be gray like Moses.
Hey, man, you see the gray. This is all the wisdom and all the pain and suffering I've gone through. But if you notice me, Aaron, man. You know everything, Aaron, every day that I wake up, I always tell God, I say, God, I'd rather have gray hair than to be bald.
I know that's right. I'm with you on that one. I don't think I got the head to be bald, bro. I don't got that.
Hey, you see what happened to Dave? He shaved all that hair off. Now he can't even grow.
Yeah, I can't look like that, man. Dave Brave. I'm gonna have to go get a man piece.
I couldn't do it. As soon as that man cut all his hair off,
man, I seen him. I was shocked. It's still shocking to me to see him that way. Okay.
never imagined he used to have all that hair.
All of it, yeah.
My man shaved that joint.
The Bone Thugs fanatic.
Hey,
that's why he had all that hair.
Hey, so hold on. Look what Steve said, bro. Petty himself. He said, looking like Coolio. Rest in peace to Coolio, man. Gangsta's Paradise.
Hey, man, you gotta appreciate your friends, man. That's why you gotta appreciate your friends, man.
Hey, man. But yeah, man. What's your final notice for today, man?
My final notice for the day is to just go back and ask God to really reveal the people who's supposed to be in your life. Because I think that's what I'm about to start doing in these next couple of days. You know, I really need to find out and really know the purpose. I mean, because like I said, I have people around me and I love people, but I never, until you had this conversation, I had to really question that. And I had to really wonder, like, I know I'm going somewhere. I just need to know who's going to be those people that need to be around me when I get there. That's all.
Yeah, well, my final notice is this, man. Whatever that gentleman is going through that's trying to keep sending me friend requests, bro, I've forgiven you. I've forgiven you for the day that you told me that, because it wasn't you telling me that. It was God actually letting you reveal what your plans were, because I walked in divine steps. You know what I'm saying? So I've forgiven you. But forgiving you doesn't mean we have to be friends. Just be prosperous over there. Let me live my life here. Let me do what God has called me to do. You know what I'm saying? Whatever God has for you, I pray that you find it. Whatever peace you're looking for, you know, I hope he finds it too as well. But, you know, it taught me a lot. And that through that situation allowed us to have this conversation. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I thank you for it. You know, because what you meant for bad, God is using it for good. So, you know, appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. I know we kind of like went mad time overtime there, today, man.
Yeah, but I appreciate y'all hanging in with us. I appreciate every moment.
Definitely, man.